Rory McIlroy. Rory, welcome to what is your 12th PGA Championship, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Pre-COVID, your 2020 season or year was off to a resounding start. Then everything kind of came to a halt. So I got to imagine your hopes are that the first major in 13 months can kind of, spark you back into that peak form here a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, before the world sort of shut down, I was playing some really good golf, consistent. And then, having that 3-month break, coming back, everything's sort of changed. Everything feels different. In the competitive arena anyway. But my game doesn't feel that far away. I feel like I've played pretty well. I just haven't got a lot out of my game. Haven't scored as well as I was doing before the lockdown. Wasn't really efficient, or haven't been efficient as I was back then. Short game hasn't quite been as sharp. But as you said, it's the first major in over a year, and be a great week to get back into some form and give it a good run.
Okay, let's start on campus here with Jeff, number one.
Rory, obviously some great vibes coming to this place for you. How did your strategy change, playing a medal play event as opposed to how you might attack this course in match play?
Yeah, I mean, I the course is obviously a little different than it was in the match play 5 years ago. The layout and the routing of the course is different, but also they've added some length. There's a few holes that definitely play a lot longer. I think the fairways are a little narrower. They've cut them in a little bit, a couple of different looks. So it's different. I mean, I've always liked how PGA Championship setups have been for me. I think they're fair. It's not as if, I like, you look down a fairway at a PGA Championship and it's sort of the same width the whole way down to the green. A lot of courses, they try to pinch it in at 320 and sort of try to handcuff the longer hitters. Where here, the courses just let you play, which I like. I think Kerry Haig and his team do a great job. I think Kerry's one of the best in the business at setting golf courses up. I've always said that. So it's a little different than the match play 5 years ago, but it's a great setup, and I think everyone's in for a good week.
Okay, Rory, let's zoom out. Ron Krojcik from the Chronicle here locally. Ron, you're up, sir.
Hi, Rory. Can you hear me?
I can.
Welcome to San Francisco.
Thank you.
I'm curious your take on the importance of holding major championships at true municipal courses like Harding, like Bethpage last year. I think the US Open goes to Torrey next year.
Yep.
That's obviously become kind of a trend. And yet, you look into the future and there's still a lot of private courses, obviously, in the rotation. What does it mean, though? What's the significance to the future of the game to having these big events on public courses, in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I've always said that, golf in, everywhere in the world, but I think especially in the United States, it can become more accessible still. And I think bringing the biggest tournaments in the world to public courses is a step in the right direction. I mean, we're always going to go to private courses because some of the private courses are, some of the best in the world, and they're, they're courses that test the top players. But at the same time, it's very refreshing that we do come to places like here, Bethpage, Torrey Pines. It is important to let the public see us on golf courses that they've played before, that are accessible for them, that aren't too expensive to get on. So I'm, it's a step in the right direction for golf. I think golf's still got a fair bit to go to be as inclusive and as accessible as it needs to be. But it's a step in the right direction.
Thank you.
Let's stay on site number 2, Doug.
When's the last time you paid a greens fee? Where was it and how much?
Valderrama, 2005, €250.
Why?
I always liked the look of Valderrama. I was in Spain. Obviously, Ryder Cup course. The Tour Championship of the European Tour was there for a lot of years, and it's one of the I was there, and spent a few months worth of pocket money to go and play.
So the actual question about this tournament, if you don't mind, the history of Harding Park, whether it was you winning here, Tiger when he was number one, the Lucky International, 6 of the 7 winners are all Hall of Famers for that decade. Is there anything about this golf course that brings out the best players winning, or is it just sheer coincidence? Do you see anything?
It tests sort of all aspects of the game, right? It's you got to drive it well. You got to be able to hit it both ways. There's some tee shots that are a little bit right to left, a little bit left to right, but you still just need to do enough with the ball. You need to be able to shape the ball a little bit around here. It's not, it's a big golf course, but it's not wide open as such. I feel like the cypress trees frame the fairways really well, and there's some definition, and you can try to shape your shots, and you need to shape some shots. But yeah, I think it tests all aspects. It's it's a fair golf course. It's not tricked up. It's not gimmicky in any way. It's all right there in front of you, and I think it's maybe a little bit of a coincidence that the top players come here and win most of the times that things are played here. But I think it says a lot about the course that it lets guys play, and it lets them sort of have the freedom to go out there and play the way they want to.
Thanks.
Let's move on to 3. Dan, please.
Yeah, so you won. It's been 5 years since you won here. I'm just curious how you're different as a player and as a person from last time, apart from just shorter hair.
It's pretty short back then. I don't know. I should hopefully a little wiser, a little more mature, a little more experienced. Yeah, maybe a little more. I think back then I was 20, would have just turned 26. Golf was everything to me, my career, and it still is. It's so important, and it's I want to make the most of my time on tour and everything. But there's other things in my life that have happened that are important to me, and maybe got a little more balance in there. I enjoy other things. I don't get bogged down as much just by golf. There's other things that give me joy and give me pleasure and fulfill me, and it's probably the biggest difference.
Let's zoom out to Mark. Mark, you're with Rory McIlroy. Mark, unmute your line there.
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Rory, I was just wondering, from a perspective of playing a major championship without fans, what's going to be the biggest change for you? We know that, you can ignore leaderboards, but you can't ignore the roars of the crowds. How's that going to play? Do you find yourself looking more at leaderboards, or just trying to stay in your own little bubble per se?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it isn't new to us at this point. We've been back.
Right.
We've been back playing on tour for the last 8 or 9 weeks or whatever it is. Yeah, I guess honestly, for me, if anything, I've found myself looking at leaderboards a little more just to, see where I am and on there and see where other people are. As you said, there's no feedback from anywhere else, so the leaderboards are the only thing you have to see how you're doing in the tournament. There's even no scoreboard holders, so you don't even know how the guys in your group are doing. So you sort of feel like you're looking at the leaderboard a little more, but at this point we should all be used to it. It is what it is. It's going to be like this for the foreseeable future, and I've said in the last few weeks that I've struggled to adapt to it, but it is, as I said, it is what it is, and you need to go out there and do the best that you can. We all wish that we were playing in front of fans and have it feel like a real major championship. But I think we're just lucky that we're able to play golf tournaments at this point, and grateful to PGA of America and all the governing bodies for adapting and pivoting and being able to put on these championships.
Let's go to number 4, Rex.
Along those lines, Roy, when was the last time you signed an autograph?
Last week, but not. I guess I stayed in the Southwind community there in Memphis, and a couple of kids came to the door, and I said, let me just go get a Sharpie out of my own bag because they came with a Sharpie. So I guess last week, but again, you have to, even that, you go and you take your own Sharpie and make sure that it's sanitized and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I've signed a lot less autographs the last few months.
Well, in my tournament-related question, Bryson and Tony were in here the last 2 days talking about they're thinking to play this golf course aggressively like they have been so far on tour. Having played here, having won here, is this the kind of golf course you can overpower?
I think length is certainly an advantage. It's a long golf course anyway. It's playing even longer because of the conditions. You know, that the temperatures are barely going to get into the 60s. You know, they might get a little hotter as the week goes on, but you know, it's a long golf course. It's, you know, especially with the marine layer coming in, that the moisture keeps it sort of, you know, there's not much roll on the fairways. The greens are pretty firm, but you know, I've seen a couple of the interviews. I mean, the rough is, you know, I've had some pretty bad lies in the rough over the last few days. I mean, it's, you know, it's not a guarantee that you can get to the green if you just wheel it around. So, I mean, you still have to hit fairways, but I think there's only, there's probably only one par 4, maybe 2 par 4s where you're not going to hit driver. So it is, you know, most of the time you've got driver in your hand off the tee, and you are trying to get it down there as far as you can.
Okay, let's zoom out to Alex Maselli. Alex, you're up.
Rory, I'm just wondering, at what point would you feel comfortable having fans back at the golf course, and what would be required for you if it wasn't today? What would be required for you to get comfortable?
Look, I'm not a public health expert, and you know, I won't pretend to be up here. I guess whenever they say that it's safe to do so, you know, I feel like I'm a rule follower and I'll play by the rules, and so long as they tell us that it's then safe. So you know, I think that's what everyone's doing. PGA of America, PGA Tour, everyone involved in the game, you know, just following CDC guidelines, and you know, until they say it's safe, then that's when I'll feel comfortable that it's safe to do so.
All right, zoom out to Phil Casey. Phil?
Yeah, hi Rory. Just looking, you've touched on this already, but in 2015 at the match play, you went in there as number 1 seed, 18-hole match play, which can be notoriously tricky, but you won 7 straight matches. How good was your play that week, and what does it give you going into this week?
Yeah, it was good. I was playing well that week, playing well that year. Obviously, I'd come into that event. I think I'd won in Dubai earlier in the year. Had been playing pretty well. I remember having a couple of tough matches early on. I think I had to go extra holes with Billy Horschel. I had to go extra holes with Paul Casey. You know, so there was a couple of tight matches that I was able to squeeze through. I think I was 1 down with 2 to play against Jim Furyk in the semi-finals and was able to, you know, squeeze out a win there. So my play was good. I think, you know, if I remember anything about the week, is that I played well when I needed to, and I hit good shots at the right times. And that's sort of what you need to do in match play. But yeah, it's nice to have some memories around a golf course that, you know, you're playing a major championship on. It's you know, it's nice to have those memories and be able to recall, you know, some of the shots that you've hit. So you know, hopefully some of that can help me this week, and you know, can rekindle that sort of form that helped me win here a few years ago.
We're going to zoom out to Steve. Steve, go ahead, please.
Rory, does it weigh on you that you haven't added to your 4 majors since 2014?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say it, like, it doesn't keep me up at night, and I don't think about it every day, but when I play these major championships, it's something that I'm obviously reminded of. So yeah, I would have liked to have, you know, won a couple more majors in that time frame, and I feel like I've had a couple of decent chances to do so, and I just haven't got the job done. So, but you know, the good thing is we've at least 3 opportunities this year, and then hopefully if things normalize going forward, you know, 4 opportunities. You know, so we're playing, you know, 7 major championships in the next 12 months, basically. So, you know, I've got plenty of opportunities coming my way. So, yeah, you know, I think everyone that stands up here wishes they would have won more and would have played better and all of that stuff. And I've given myself chances. I just haven't been able to capitalize on them.
All right, we have time for a couple more. Let's start with Doug. You're here at number 2.
Since we don't have spectators and traffic and chalets galore and the infrastructure and everything built up around here, what is the one visual that reminds you that we're in a major this week?
The white tent. Feel like when you come to, especially the PGA and the US Open, those white tents. Yeah, it is funny. There's no grandstands. There's nothing to really frame the greens. So I think it's just when you're on site and you see, there's still a little bit of a build out. You can tell that there's a golf tournament here at least. Maybe not a major championship, but yeah. Look, it's different, but it's just nice to be here. Nice to be playing. The ropes are up. Not as if that's going to make a difference, but there's enough around to make it feel like it's a big tournament.
Let's stay here at number 5.
Yeah, Rory, this is a question unrelated to golf, but you gave an interview with Hodinky a while back recently,
Yes.
and you mentioned that when you won your first big tournament in Europe, you bought a watch, but you didn't say what watch it was, and you didn't say why you wanted that watch. What was that one?
It was a nice watch. Obviously, being partnered with Omega, I don't really want to say the other brand. So it was a nice watch.
Yeah, fair enough. And you said that you said you've struggled with the crowds. Can you just expand on that, with struggling without having crowds?
Lack
there?
of crowd. Yeah, I mean, it's just like I think we've all had to get used to it, right? And at this point, I have got used to it. I've played 5 golf tournaments since coming back, and obviously there's been no crowds, and it's for me personally, it's just taken a little while to get used to that. But as I said, it's been 5 tournaments in. I should be pretty much adapted to it now. But yeah, it's a different time, and we all have to deal with different things and adapt. And I mean, if having to play golf without fans is if that's in the forefront of my mind as one of my biggest concerns, then everything's okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up with Mark Cannizzaro. This will be the last ones. Mark?
Hey, Rory, thanks for doing this, as always.
No worries.
I have two questions unrelated. One, just regarding your form in this, this post-COVID restart thing. I know it's not where and the results not where you want it to be. I'm wondering what kind of things you see that are coming around a little bit, and the fact that this week is a major championship, maybe that could kickstart you a little bit in your mind.
Yeah, I think coming back from sort of post-COVID, there's been good scores in there, right? Like there's been I shot a 63, a Colonial. I shot a 65 to make the cut at Hilton Head, a 63 at Travelers. Couple of good scores last week in Memphis. So there's the good stuff's in there, and I was saying just earlier, it's just the sharpness and being efficient with my scoring, turning the 73s that I've shot into 70s. That's the sort of stuff, and I think when you're sharp and you're playing a bit and you're sort of in your groove, you're able to do that a little better, and that's the stuff that I haven't been able to do since coming back out here. So it's just it's the scoring aspect of the game. I feel like everything else is pretty good. I'm driving it well. My iron play is good for the most part. It's just getting that key up and down to get to keep momentum going. Holding a putt here or there to keep the round going for the day. Just all that stuff that when you're feeling it and when you're in a good spot, that's when you start to do those things, and momentum comes from there. So that's really been the only thing. Feel like the game's really close. Even the mediocre scores that I've shot, I've come off the golf course thinking, well, actually didn't play too badly. I just didn't get a lot out of the round. So if I can just keep playing like that and just be a little more efficient with my scoring, I'll be right where I need to be.
He's a 2-time PGA champion. Roy, thanks for your time, sir. Best of luck this week.
Thank you.